What we're going to be talking about today is sales and conversions. And we're going to be diving into what that means to me and also what that means to Benji, who's my guest on the show today. And Benji's the co founder of Superfit Grow Out in Australia, an incredible company that builds winning ad campaigns for gyms all over the world. In fact, they're so good at what they do that we sent them all of our business. We worked something out, of course, but man, they're just fantastic. So really, Loud Rumor just has their mastermind. And as a reminder, I'm not only your host of the GSD show, but I am also the CEO of Loud Rumor, which is an incredible mastermind for some of the smartest, hardest working gym owners all over the world. In fact, some of these guys have multiple seven-figure gyms, and they just really are great at sharing what it is they do and how they're successful, and also sharing where they failed so you can learn from that as well. So if you want to learn more about how to be a part of that, go to loudrumor.com, schedule a call, and we'd love to have you in. Now, with that, let's talk about sales and conversions with Benji. On to the show. All right, so Benji, you and I see eye to eye when it comes to sales on a few things. In fact, quite a few things. And one of the things that we've talked about was this perception around sales and how it's interesting because when you change the way you look at things, the things you'll look at will change. It's a popular quote. And I think a lot of people, you know, you meet people that have been in sales for 20 years, 25 years, or CEOs, they embrace it. They're like, it's such an important part of business, so fun. There's so much good that comes out of sale. Because the
Yeah,
truth is, nothing happens until a sale is made.
exactly.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Then you have other people, the other camp, where they're just like, "Oh, I hate sales. I'm not a
Mm,
salesperson." You're
yeah.
like, "Oh, you are a sales." No, I'm not. I'm not. It's like you're selling me right now that you're not a salesperson. You're selling. We're always
Exactly.
selling, right? So,
Exactly.
so what I want to talk about is that first, but we're also going to dive into how do we adjust the perception? How do we make it easier for
Mm,
people to embrace sales? Because it's really just about changing the way you look at it. You're not going to change sales. Sales, it needs to exist in the business. It's just changing the
exactly.
framing around it. How do we train our staff to be better at it? Because
Mm,
I personally believe that we tend to not like things we're not good at.
mm,
And we definitely don't want to work at things that we don't feel
yeah.
like confident in. So how do we increase the confidence?
Hmm.
And then how do we measure it to make sure that we're actually
Mm,
good? Because
mm,
some people are better than they think they are, but they just
yeah.
have like really bad understanding as to what good is. Like what's a good conversion rate? What's a good contact rate? What's a good book rate? And
Exactly.
we talk about this before, but like if Steph Curry is the best three-point shooter in the NBA
Mm,
history,
hmm.
but he makes like 40 to 50% of his shots. So if he didn't know that that was best in history, he would
Mm,
be like, man, I suck. I miss more than I make.
exactly. Yep.
And it's like, yeah, dude, that's amazing though. Like your percentage is
Mm,
amazing. So we're going to also give the audience some understanding as to what good conversion rates are so they know where they really stand. So sound good?
excellent. Yeah, sounds awesome. Let's do it. Dive in.
All right. And we'll dive into Australia versus US because I know there's different markets there. So
Mm,
let's talk about sales. So, you've now worked with hundreds and hundreds of gyms.
mm,
You've gotten to employ people at your gyms as well.
yeah.
Have you seen those two camps, the people that love sales and the people that don't love sales?
100%, 100%. And just a little bit of a background as well, a little story. Before we started Superfit Grow, my little small consulting agency was purely based around selling, converting, and lead nurturing. And the amount
Wow.
of time, so I used to go into gyms and I'd do a secret shop, and I'd say 90% of the gyms I'd walk into, mostly boutique, I would sit down and it would be around 5 minutes before someone would even come in and even say hello or ask my name. Some gyms, they wouldn't even ask my name. It was
Wow.
absolutely horrible, which was the birth of my first agency, which was called Benefit Sales Solutions, which transitioned into Nurtured Sales. All right. And
Wow.
my whole point was I was so passionate about converting leads, selling, if you will, but converting leads or converting prospects into members. I'm like, I have to do something here. All right. So I guess people are scared of sales because typically sales, what do people think of? Telesales, car salesman, real estate agent, something that feels a bit slimy and sleazy and they're pushy. And typically those type of people don't actually understand sales to its fullest depth. Right.
Yeah.
So I think sales is like for me, it's understanding the other person, understanding the human, be able to read them, be able to understand what they want, asking the right questions. That's
Hmm.
sales. So for me to then help the other coaches or trainers understand that you're not selling something, you're converting someone.
Yeah. You
Mm,
know, it's interesting. Habits build like habits. So
mm,
if you're if let's say you skip the gym today, you're like, you know
yep,
what, I'm just gonna hit the snooze button. I'm gonna sleep
yep,
in. The probability of you snoozing it again in the
mm,
next few days is increased than
yep,
if you said,
exactly.
nope, I'm getting out of bed. If
Yep,
you do that, the probability of you getting out of bed next time is going to be higher because you know you can do it,
yep,
right? Whichever you
exactly,
choose, you know you can
exactly,
do it. And everything's going to
exactly.
be okay, whichever you choose.
Yep,
And the same thing goes with if you stay up late, you're
yep,
more likely to stay up late again.
yep,
If you eat poorly, you go to the drive-through, you're more likely to go to the drive-through again.
exactly.
And so no matter what it is, like attracts like, right? Habits attract habits. And
Mm,
so when we think about that, we say, okay, well, if that's the case, why are we in this industry in the first place? Now, you've got some people that are in it to make a buck, but you have some people that really are passionate about fitness. So
mm,
let's
mm,
focus on them, right? Because the make a
mm,
buckers, whatever, you can't do much with it.
exactly.
But with the people that are like, no, I really love when people say you've changed my life. I really love
Hmm.
being a healthier me because of you.
Yep,
I really love
exactly.
that you help me. Okay, great. So we know that. So now check this out, Benji. That trainer, that coach, that sales rep, that front desk rep, whatever, whoever's handling that prospect, when that prospect worked up the courage, which is what they had to
Mm,
do, because,
hmm.
we sometimes forget the
Mm,
gym people don't have to work up courage to go to a new gym.
exactly right.
They're gym people, right?
Yep.
So for
We're
them,
the
like
1%. We're the
yeah,
1%. We're
we're
the
the
weird
few, right?
ones. Yeah.
Right, we're the weird ones. These guys had to work up the courage.
Yeah.
I've talked to
100%.
people that have said I was in my car in the parking lot for like 5 minutes,
Yep. Yep.
like mentally prepared to come in because I was so nervous.
My
So,
wife's a perfect example of that. My wife is beautiful. She's fit. She's like, you would think looking at her, oh, how the heck? And she used to sit in the car when she first like got into training and group training for at least 5 to 10 minutes, and she would cry. She would feel like she would shake. She'd get shivers before she'd even go in there. So again, you're
yeah.
exactly right. Like
Now for the gym
people,
people, it's
yeah,
hard to imagine that, but it's out there,
mm,
it's happening. And so that prospect, as cool as a cucumber as they may have looked,
yeah,
they worked a lot of courage to be here, and they're not they got anxiety going on right now. Okay,
exactly.
now here's the thing: if they make a decision to
Mm,
not buy and
mm,
walk out of there, they just took one step towards the habit of not saying yes to their health.
exactly, exactly. And we haven't done our job as
Yeah.
coaches or trainers.
So now two things can happen from here. Either A,
Mm,
the probability of them not even going into another gym is higher because they
exactly.
believe it's going to happen again,
Well, then all
or
gyms are like that. They do.
all gyms are
If they
like,
have that,
yeah,
exactly. All gyms, exactly right.
or number two, when they go in, they have comfort because they know it's going to be
Mm,
okay to say
mm,
no here as well.
yeah,
And so they're never going to say yes. Now, if you can get them to say yes, I've surveyed members from gyms that have done this.
mm,
Did you know that more than 70% of people that buy a gym membership within that same 24 hours
mm.
spend additional money on something to help them with that journey? Whether it's they go grocery
100.
shopping on the way
Yep.
home, they go on Amazon and
Shoes.
buy new sneakers,
Exactly.
whatever, right? So supplements, they start buying their vitamins. So that person that you just got to say yes, you just took them towards a step in another positive direction. Now
Exactly.
you're helping. So forget about your ego. Oh, they said no to me. Forget that. It's not, they
Yeah.
said no to them. They said no to themselves.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the reason we want to work on sales and get better at this is because we want to help people change their lives,
Mm, mm-hmm.
not because we want to sell and get a commission. As soon as you get that framing around, you're going to change everything. Okay. Good on that?
100%. Definitely.
Now, one of the things that you said you've done is you've worked hard, and I think you've even helped train staff to be more
Yep.
confident around
Yep.
sales.
Yep.
How are some of the things that you've done that I've got some of
Okay.
my experience, but I'm interested in
Yeah.
what you've done as well.
Definitely. So this is a tip for anyone that's listening, and it's so fucking easy. Is walk into if you've got a group of trainers there, and always open with this question: what did you get into the fitness industry for? Why did you become a personal trainer? They respond, I want to help people. I'm passionate about fitness. I want to change people's lives. Okay. Then I respond with, so if we are then not converting that prospect or that person that's coming into the gym into a member, are we doing our job? Are you doing your job? No, always usually a bit of an awkward silence, and someone might say, "Oh, yeah, probably not." No, I said exactly right. You're not doing your job. So let's get that first right now. Why do we come? This all comes into the self-belief. Why do we become a PT? Why do we become a coach, a manager? Why did I open a gym? I want to change people's lives. Therefore, I have to convert leads, prospects into members. And even if we're not the right fit, drop the ego. I can actually send you somewhere that has got what you're looking for, if that makes sense. So I'll start with that. Then I go into their mindset. Before we even talk about sales or techniques, then it's mindset. And usually, actually 99% of the time, self-belief. Now, I'm going to give an example here, Mike. I've got a guy, he's 50 years old now. He's one of our head coaches in my gym, which I'm standing in right now. He had two and a half years experience. His name's Brett, and he's one of the best coaches I've ever seen. When we asked him to sell a membership and convert, he said, "Oh, no, that's not me. I'm just a coach. I'm just a coach. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that." I spent about 4 weeks with him, about probably an hour, maybe 2 hours a week, going into mostly his self-belief and then helping him and showing him and role-playing with, this is how easy it actually is. Now, he's our head salesperson for the gym. So he's our head trainer and our best salesperson. And now we've had another guy come in and he's now coaching him, all because he believes. And basically I broke it down. I said, "Brett, you are the converter. You're the salesperson, because what you deliver on the floor, that's 90% of the sale done. Then all you have to do is understand the structure and framework in how to talk to someone and convert them into a membership. That's it." So again, it's all belief, and where the ability I have is to get inside people's heads and make them believe. Another example, we had a coach here, her name was Jackie, and she was a hockey player. She was fit. She had like legs, like muscle, like crazy, like incredible looking woman. And we came in and she said, "I can't sell memberships." And we put a process in place that everyone has to sell a membership a week. Every trainer has to sell one membership. She then that afternoon, after I spent about half an hour, 40 minutes with her, sold 2 memberships. Couldn't believe it. Oh my gosh. Well, how did I do this? Well, because first you believed in yourself, then you followed a structure and a process. It's as easy as that. And I know people listening might go, "It's not that easy. It's not that easy." It actually is. All self-belief, and it comes from the leaders and the managers of the gym. So if I'm the owner of a gym, it's my job and duty to educate my staff and help them, because in our gym, it's a non-negotiable. You don't have a job here if you can't convert a membership. We don't accept, "Oh, I'm just a trainer."
I love that. Yeah, you know what it's like, Benji? It's like you ever have somebody that never been on a roller coaster before, then like you're the one that convinced them to go on a roller coaster. And so it's like you go, "Hey, come on." They're like, "No, no, no, it's gonna be scary. Come on, it's gonna be fine. No, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great." And they're like freaking out, and you're like, "You can do this. You know they can do it. You know it's safe, and you know they're gonna like it once they do it." And then they do the roller coaster, and then when it's all over, what do they typically say? "Let's do it
Amazing.
again." Yeah, let's do it again. And so sales is kind of like that too. It's so fun when you watch somebody make their first sale. You can see the excitement, you can see the energy. And even if that person was skeptical before, once they make it, it's so exhilarating. And so we just got to get them on the ride. And once we get them on the ride, it's so much easier to get it there. The other thing that you mentioned that I really liked is don't wait. Or actually, this is my take on it. But you talked about them being a coach. Like, okay, yeah, you're a coach. This is what you do. I've always said, don't wait until they sign to be their coach. Be their coach from the beginning. Now, you've been a coach before. I've been a coach before. If the client that you're coaching, if you say go do 10 push-ups and they're on 8 and you know they could do 2 more, you know it. But then they kind of like stop. What do you say? Do you say look, keep going?
Exactly.
You don't
Yep.
say, "Oh, you could stop if you want." You say keep going. If the person's doing burpees and you know they got 5 more in them, but they stop because they're like, "I'm tired." What do you say?
Go more. Keep
"Hey, we're
going.
not done. We're not done." Right? We're coaching them. So we know how to apply that friendly pressure for their benefit. For their benefit. We know how to apply that friendly without crossing a line. And we do the same thing in sales. So When somebody's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it in here, 3 to 4 times a week. I know. Maybe you can't. But if you could, how would you? What would you adjust? And now they start thinking. That's you coaching them, not convincing them. Convincing them sounds like this. Well, what if you did, instead of coming in at night, you came in the morning? And, what if you didn't, work until this? What if you didn't watch Netflix? What if you did? You could do that, but now you're convincing, and that's icky. Coaching sounds like, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you can't come in 4 times a week, but if you were able to figure it out, what adjustments would you probably make it happen? And now you're coaching, right? And so we can coach along the way. Yeah, I don't know if I can afford this. The selling, persuading way that people don't like is, well, if you don't do Starbucks every day, and if you like if you do all that stuff, if you don't eat out you said you eat out every other day. If you don't eat out, you can afford it, whatever. Or you can say, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you can't afford it, Benji. But let me ask you, if you were to figure out a way to afford it, what adjustments would you make in order to make that true? Like, just think about your current life. What would you do differently? How would you afford it? And now you're coaching them. You're helping them solve a problem. That's what coaching is.
Exactly.
So I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't leverage. They work so hard on persuading. They think sales is about convincing somebody to do something they don't want to do. And it's really about coaching somebody to figure out how to get something done that they do want to do, because they wouldn't be there if they didn't. Nobody goes into a gym to not be in better shape. Nobody goes into a gym, even for a trial, to stay unhealthy. Right?
Exactly right, exactly right. And it all comes like when what you were just saying then makes so much sense with the coaching aspect, and then language as well. You need to listen to the language and listen to your own language, how you're speaking to the people. So, for instance, if someone comes into the gym, and this is another example, I was sales training a gym here in Queensland, and when we were doing the sales training, they hadn't locked their front door, and someone actually came in, this really large guy. You could tell he needed to lose weight. So I looked at him as I was walking out to the desk, because someone said, oh, I'll get it. I said, no, I'll get it. Watch this. All right. So I was coaching them, walked out there, and he walked in and came up to the desk and said, I want to join the gym. That was his language. I want to join the gym. All right. So I said, okay, excellent. Like, great step. What's the main reason you want to join the gym? And he started talking to me. I'm like, excellent. Great. Really good goals to have. Right. These are the 3 membership options we have. Typically, everyone goes towards the 6 month. That's what our most popular membership is. All right. Mind you, most people would have gone out and sold him a trial. I come in and trial us for 3 days or 7 days, but through his language, his body stance, and the way he carried himself, I could tell he was in pain, and I could tell he needed to join the gym. So we signed him up. Well, I signed him up there and then on the spot, and joined him at the gym, because that was his language. If he had come in saying, I want to check out this gym, I want to see if it might be the right fit for me, obviously then we move into the trial or whatever that intro pack might be. So, but if an inexperienced salesperson had gone up to him, they probably would have sold him the trial. And I got asked the question after that, why didn't you sell him onto the trial? I said, he didn't ask for that. He walked in very confidently, in a lot of pain, and he wants to join the gym. So it's my duty to convert him and then coach him along the way. And I coached him, right, we're going to start with 2 sessions a week, because he was in pretty bad shape. Then we're going to move that to 3 sessions after the first month. Then we're going to go into 4 sessions. So within the next 6 months, you're going to be exercising minimum of 5 days a week within 6 months. How does that sound? And he absolutely loved it. He's like, that's incredible.
That's amazing.
So,
You know, I think one of the lessons in sales is really helping that person get to where they want to go. Like, at the end
yep.
of the day, that's what we're wanting to do. And sometimes people just need to see it. And
Mm,
I think people have a hard time. There's this really interesting thing. I remember I was talking through with a mentor. It was a long ride back from. We went out way to the desert here in Arizona, and we went
mm,
shooting.
mm,
And that's something that's popular here in Arizona. You like go in the middle of the desert and you shoot like crazy guns. And then it was like a 2 hour ride back into town. And we were talking, and And we were like, man, you know what's interesting? I noticed because we were both talking about the future, our vision for our companies and our lives. We were both very, very clear on that. But when I've asked other people, like friends, family that aren't entrepreneurs, hey, what does the next 3 to 5 years look like? They have a hard time answering that question. But now what we also realize on that car ride is, well, something else is in reverse. What that looks like is I have a really bad memory for the past. Like if you were to say, Mike, remember in high school when this happened? I forgot. I don't remember it at all. Meanwhile, yeah, like I was at a high school reunion and a couple people were talking about this, a few stories, and I was like, I don't remember any of this. And they were like, what are you talking about? It was so clear. And and I talked to Dave, this person I was driving with, and he was like, I'm always made fun of because I don't remember things that happened a year ago, 2 years ago, like things that everyone remembers. And so, okay, now I'm tying this into sales, and I'll show you where I'm going. But so I play. Do you play any instruments, Benji?
No.
So I play piano, I play guitar. Here's what I'll tell you: I can learn a song, and I get really good at that song. And as long as I play that song every other day or so, I'll never forget it.
Mm.
Once I go a month, I'm probably forgetting big pieces of it. Once I go 3 months, I probably forgot the whole song. And I think the same thing goes with vision and memory. If you constantly talk about your best days in high school, you'll never forget your best day. You'll always know those stories because that's your prime. You talk about it, right?
Mm.
But if you're always thinking about the future and you're always talking about your vision, it's always easy to remember the future and see it clear as day because you
Mm.
keep touching on it. You never lose it. And I think for a lot of people that we deal with in sales, when we're selling to these prospects, they don't think about the future. They
Mm.
think about the past. They think about what got them here. They think about why they failed in the past. They think about how this hasn't worked before, no matter how hard they've attempted this. But they don't think about, okay, if I do this every day, by next Christmas, I could be here. They're not even thinking about that. So we change that. And so we never say like 3 to 6 months or 5 months we should get here. What we do is we paint a picture. So Benji, what this would look like is, let's say I said, hey, look, so Benji, you want to lose 20 pounds. And based on that, if we can get about a pound a week, which I think we can easily do, if we can get about a pound a week off, we're looking at about 20 weeks from now, which is roughly around 4 to 5 months. Let's call it 5 in case we have some cheat weeks, right?
Mm.
So 5 months from now. So right now we're July, August, September, October, November, December. December 25th is 5 months. So what this means, Benji, is when we wake up on Christmas morning, the biggest gift we gave ourselves was this goal.
Mm.
We say we did it. How's that sound? What that also looks like, Benji, is New Year's Day, 1 week later, when everybody's committing to losing their weight or getting to their goal, you've already done it. And we're already thinking, what else can we do? Now, the same thing, if it's in November, by the time you sit down at the Thanksgiving table, if it's October, so when everyone's deciding what they're going to be for Halloween, if it's September, so just when the weather's starting to cool down and everyone's starting to decide what they're going to be dressing their new wardrobe for the winter, when it's summer, right? Look, no matter what, there's always a picture you can paint. And instead of saying in 3 to 6 months we can get you there, we can get you there. No, not we. In 5 months, when you're sitting at the Christmas table for dinner, you will be. Now you're helping them create and shape their vision.
Mm.
It's so easy to sell it because that's what they want to buy. It's equivalent to if you ever sold a physical product. What do they say? Let them hold it because they need to feel it. They need to see it. When you paint a picture, that's creating it and making it real. So that's something in sales training that I really like working into my people
Mm.
is create that vision, help them. They got to see it so clearly that they can taste it. Now, with you, you've done sales training quite a bit. How often do you recommend gyms do sales training with their employees, and what does that look like?
Minimum once a week minimum. You have to be doing it weekly. So I'd recommend gyms have an hour team meeting every week. Half an hour of that is going through obviously the challenges, the wins. Pick three, give each coach 2 to 3 rocks, if you will. What are their rocks? What do they need to get to? Right? What's their KPI? Right? They go through that. Most of the time, they're not going to hit all three. They might hit two. So if they're 80% of the way there, that's great. Right? Um, and then basically the second half of the meeting is sales coaching and sales training, because that is the majority of our job. And that can mean not just sales role play back and forth and coaching that, but also the delivery on the floor, the delivery as a personal trainer. Say if it's in a big box gym, how is that trainer walking through body language? How many people are you speaking to every single day? So if you're only speaking to 3 a day, let's up that to 10. Even if they're not your clients yet, go over them, give them a tip, give them free value.
Right.
Exactly what we say, value, value, value. They see the passion. People buy from people they like, trust, and the passion that person has. If someone hasn't got any passion, they're not going to buy from you. If
Yeah.
they don't like you, they're not going to buy from you. And if they don't trust you, and giving that free value and going over and beyond, which as we do as coaches or trainers, we should, because that's what we got into the industry for. You're a walking
Yeah.
billboard. You're a walking billboard. Like, that's your advertisement, is yourself.
I think that is one of the best assets that a salesperson can have is
Mm,
conviction, which means you as their leader, whether it's the owner or the manager,
mm,
whoever's overseeing the salespeople, you need to be really, really good at helping them believe in the product. So it's funny, when I was 20, I started working in the gyms when I was 20. And, I would say 20, 21, 22, I was already one of the top salespeople there. And I thought I was so good at sales. I really did. And then I met somebody like in my early or late 20s, early 30s. I don't know. I was 29, 30 years old. And this person was a sales trainer. I've never met a real sales trainer before. I met
mm,
the ones that were like given to me like within the companies I worked at, but never like somebody that this is what you do for a living. You're a sales trainer. And we went to lunch and I was so confident. I was like, oh man, I'm going to teach him stuff. This guy he blew my mind. And he was labeling things that I thought about, but I didn't know they had names, like rebuttals. I didn't even know there was a name for a
mm.
rebuttal, or anchoring, or, vision casting, or picture painting. I never thought about that stuff. I just did it, right? But I didn't really do it well. The reason I was good at sales was not because I had great sales skills, was because my conviction was so strong. My passion. I at that time I was blessed, whether it be by God or whatever experiences I had, I was blessed with seeing sales as no, like you're going to do this because I know you can, and I'm going to be the one to help you get there. Like I wanted to do that, and so every person that came in my brain, I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Like I already know you're going to lose weight, or you're going to get stronger, you're going to be more confident, and like we're going to do this. Like I was so excited to sell it because I knew where I was already thinking of the end. And I think if you don't have that conviction and you're not thinking about that and you're just technical with it all, you're not going to do very well.
hmm It's also exactly right, Mike. And also the like learning how to have uncomfortable conversations, because some of those sales conversations are going to be extremely uncomfortable. And I'm going to give an example in a minute, but holding people accountable to what they say they want to do and things that have happened in their life. So I always ask, so what does the last couple of years look like for you? Like just nice and casual. Oh, this has happened, that's happened. Okay, it starts to give me an idea, and we can go deeper, because usually the first objections are really surface level, and there's
Right.
deeper issues. So in the gym that we own, a guy came in with he was pretty overweight. He was probably 20, 30 pounds overweight. He came in, he did the session, and I could see he was getting quite emotional. I could see he was upset with himself, his facial expressions, and we're like, "You're doing well, mate." He's like, "Oh," like shaking his head and doing stuff like that. Anyway, we sat down with him at the end, and I was talking to him, and then we got into the deeper level conversation. Like, I can see you're quite frustrated, and like you look a little bit upset, and then he started like tearing up, and actually gets me choked up. But his mother had died, I think it was, say, a year earlier from bad liver problems and caused by being overweight. And basically, I let him talk and let him get it out, and then I ran through some options, and I told him which option I thought was going to be best for him, best suited for him. And then he sort of thought about it. I said, "Look, let me ask you one question. Do you want to end up the same as your mother did?" and I shut up. And I said it with that tonality because I fucking cared for this guy. I wanted him to
Yeah.
get it to the thing.
Now that's
Uh,
important, really quick. I want to stop you there because that's
mm,
important for everyone listening right now that goes, "Oh my God, I could never ask that." Listen, in the context in which Benji just said it, no, you can't, because you're thinking of it like you're just saying it to the person.
mm,
But if you really think about it, Benji and him got at a deep level. So there was a, if you think about like some of the people you're closest with, you can be
mm,
real with them. And if you don't have people in your life that you can be real with, you do not have deep relationships. You have very
mm.
surface level relationships, right?
Yep.
But I'm talking about the friend that you can say like, "Hey man, you just need to shave your head now. Like it's that time." Like if you don't have that kind of relationship in your life, like they're not deep enough, right? Like you need to be able to say, like, dude, you just need to shave now, right? But anyway, the point is, you and this guy were able to talk about like his mom. You got deep, so yes,
Mm.
you can definitely get to a point where you can say like, "Hey man, look, I'm just gonna ask you, and I need you to know I'm coming from a great place here. Do you want to end up like your mom again, like the way she was? Do you want to be
Mm-hmm.
there?"
Mm-hmm.
Without the conversation that preceded it, that's super disrespectful. But
Exactly right.
with the right rapport building and really getting deep with someone, no, man, it's a great question. And you've now entered that circle
Mm.
of someone I trust, because the only way somebody can get that deep with me is if I have that trust with them. And you don't want to leave those people. Those people are in your circle now. And you just immediately almost close the sale at that moment.
I'll finish off. Not only did he grabbed the board out of my hand or the iPad and said, I need to do this. And he grabbed it out of my hand and he started filling it out. And I had my hand on his shoulder saying, it's going to be good, mate. You're going to be fine. You're in good hands. At that moment, that's exactly what he said. He knew, and I get goosebumps talking about, he trusted me. And every time he came in and he see me, he gave me a hug. He's like, thank you so much. Not only did he join, he called his wife that same night and she came in and did the last class and joined as well
Yeah.
because it was
The
so
only
impactful.
the only way you're going to make deep impact, if you get deep.
Mm. Too many
If you
people are
want,
afraid to get deep, Mike. Too many people are afraid, and it's like, what? Why? Like you're scared, or like
yeah.
I don't
But then
know.
you
Like,
wonder why. But then you wonder why people cancel via email.
oh, yeah,
Yeah. The person that you got deep with could never do that. They'll never
exactly right.
cancel via email.
So that sale is that's a part of your attention process. Is that sales process as well?
Of course.
So your front end is a reflection to your yeah. I could talk about this for hours. I'm so passionate
Of
about it.
course. Of course.
Mm.
And someone that you can't get deep with is not going to bring their friends.
No, if it's transactional, if it's a transactional sale, I can see one coming a mile off. And with our coaches, I'll say that was too transactional, wasn't deep
Yeah.
enough. They will cancel probably within 3 months. Right, let's
Yeah.
work on how to get deeper. And it is, look, I'm not saying it's easy for everyone. It's harder, especially with the young generation coming through because they're on their phones all the time and they don't have that as much depth. I would say.
They don't have as many
And
reps.
exactly right. So, yeah, that's another thing too, the reps. The only way to get better at it is every single day get rejected and be comfortable with getting rejected and saying no. But people are afraid of that.
Now, here's the thing. They say there's a surface level belief that the number one cause of divorce is financial.
Hmm.
But then there's a deeper belief that it's the number one cause for divorce is poor communication.
Facts.
Because,
Hmm.
yeah, is it financial, or is it that we're communicating poorly around finances? Like what it means to you, what it means to me, what we could do about it, like, so, and I believe it's that. I believe it's poor communication. And here's a funny thing. Poor communication is usually a reason why somebody could lose their job,
Hmm.
or why somebody feels like they shouldn't have lost their job, or why somebody feels like somebody shouldn't work there. Partners, you see a lot of partners go bad. Communication could have fixed that, right? So there's a lot of communication is such a big part, and yet nobody really trains on it. And one of the wealthiest people of all time, best investors in the world, is Warren Buffett. And if you ask Warren Buffett, because he says this, he publicly came out and said this, the best investment he's ever made. He's invested in Coca-Cola, in Apple, in candies. He said the best investment he ever made was in a few $100 weekend seminar on communications,
Yeah.
because he knows that achieving the levels that he needs to achieve could only be done with being a great communicator.
Mhm.
And here's the thing. If you worked at McDonald's or if you worked at Taco Bell and you're that person that takes the order, your communication could be okay. Because even if, like, let's say you do like Taco Bell, Benji. I don't even know if you have Taco Bell in Australia.
Yeah,
Do you?
yeah, we do. Yep.
Okay. Is there like kangaroo meat in there?
Yeah,
What's going on?
kangaroos jumping around the car park.
Yeah. So, so like, if you really like Taco Bell, and let's say you go to Taco Bell and the guy that takes your order is a complete idiot. Let's say he's like rude to you. He doesn't say thank you, please, nothing. He barely smiled. You're still going back to Taco Bell. You're not like, screw this. No, you're still going back because you don't go to Taco Bell because of the people. However, at the gym, it's different. We're not a transactional business, we're a relational business. So improving your skills and communications has a massive advantage in being able to grow your company. And it's also not transactional when it comes to the employees and the relationships with the employees. Whereas with McDonald's, I mean, let's face it, the owner may not ever even go into the location. You just give them the book, this is the system, follow it, and we're good. So it made it so scalable. Can't be like that, right? So for those of you that aren't studying and getting better at communication, a really good book. I'll give you two really good books. One of them is Average Sucks by Michael Burnoff, who spoke at our conference. And if you haven't listened to any of Michael Burnoff's stuff, I highly recommend you check out his stuff. And the other one is a book written by I think either founder or co-founder of NLP, Richard Bandler, and it's the ultimate introduction to NLP. I think that's what it is. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. But just a really great way to be able to understand how to communicate a lot better, which that's really what sales is. Selling is not convincing somebody to do something they don't want to do. Selling is communicating with somebody, and communicating is not just talking, it's listening and talking. So it's your ability to really listen to what they're saying and what they're really saying, and then be able to communicate back to them clearly how their problem and our solution is perfectly aligned so that it makes all the sense in the world that this will help them get to where they clearly now understand they want to go. That's sales at its highest level. We talked earlier before the show, and you said there could be a difference between Australia and the US when it comes to sales, which I learned, by the way, by losing a sale to a guy with 21 locations in Australia. I was so pissed about it. In my eyes, we were going to close it. What I learned, at least from his perspective, was Australians like to go a little slower. And I was ready to make the deal right now. And he was turned off by me ready to make the deal fast. So talk me through the Australian culture versus US culture, what that looks like more as I'm just interested and curious.
Yeah, definitely, Mike. Look, I lived in LA, San Diego, and Southern California as well for a good 9 to 12 months, and the differences are exactly that. So US is it's the American dream, was built on sales, door knocking was built on that. So it's in the culture to be very aggressive, a lot harder, a lot more vocal, where Australian culture is, she'll be right, mate, laid back, it's cruisy, it's almost like, oh, what, they don't care, they don't even care. But it's just that culture, it's just too laid back. So I've found with living and working a lot out of the US and Australia, there's a perfect mix there. But yeah, it's definitely different. Like, for instance, grabbing credit card details over the phone, that's normal in the US. Doing it here in Australia, it can be done, but it's a lot more challenging. A lot
Really,
more
just
challenging. It can be done. It's a lot more people are skeptical. It still can be done if you've got a great salesperson, they'll do it. But the mindset too of the Australians here is, I can't ask for someone's credit card over the phone. You have to be exceptionally good and confident at sales to do that. Whereas in the US, it's almost the norm. To save your spot, and I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I want to introduce it here more in Australia. It's just the mindset of people, as I spoke about earlier, it's completely different. So, yeah,
man. I'm excited to go out to Australia in spite of our messaging going back and forth. I was really looking forward to going to Australia, and then Benji and Michael were messaging me like videos of 4,000 spiders coming out of a shower head, and like a snake in the little girl's bed. Like, she opened up the covers and there's like massive poisonous killer snake in there. My wife's hell no, by the way. She has no interest in going to Australia. So it might be a solo trip, which sucks 'cause it's a long ride. But at GSDCon, we actually did this whole thing where it was like, Australian can you imitate an American, which I might even do on this episode just to kind of hear an Australian imitate an American because we have a lot of American listeners, obviously. But I want to know for my own entertainment, like Americans have phrases that we believe, like when we imitate an Australian, we say some phrases. Like, for example, good eye, mate. Like that's us imitating an Australian. Or put another shrimp on the barbie. Like that's a common.
We never say that, by the way, because we
I
don't say
believe
shrimp.
you.
We say prawns. We say prawns. But you guys, when we're there, it's like, you got it. You got it. Like if we, can I please have a coffee? You got it. You got it.
So for you guys, the most common American thing to say, like if somebody in Australia is going to imitate an American, you got it's coming out of their mouth.
You got it. Exactly right. Exactly right. Or if you're Michael, then everyone thinks Michael's name is Marco, and I still call him Marco now. Hey, Marco, what's going on? Still, don't understand how. Don't understand.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, there's a lot of there's a lot of animals that can kill you in Australia. And so I really when we meet, if I go down there, we need to go to the proven to be least deadliest.
We're going for a trail run in the bush, but right beside my house. Nope. That's what we're doing.
Nope. I'm not going to the bush whatsoever. All right. So to close this out, I thought this episode was good because it helps, for everyone listening, it's an owner or a manager and you have salespeople working for you. This is a good episode for them to listen to because it really should change your perspective around sales and what it is and what it isn't. At the end of the day, if you're not in this industry to change people's lives, then you're in the wrong industry. And if you are in the industry to change people's lives, then understand that no life gets changed without a step forward. And there is no step forward that happens without them saying yes. And your job is to be so good at understanding where they want to be and painting the picture of how they're going to get there and how they're going to feel when they get there so that yes is the only real first step that they can take. And they've got to trust you and they've got to believe in you. And these things are easier with practice. But your first step is saying, yes, I'm going to practice. And then from there, you practice, you put the reps in. And then the harmony begins between you're really good at communicating, they're really good at seeing the big picture, and the decision is made and we continue to grow. So, Benji, I really appreciate you coming in, sharing your insights and talking sales with me. I love talking sales. So it's always great to have a sales guy on the show.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks, Mike. It was bloody awesome. I love it. I could talk about it for hours and hours. So maybe a few more episodes, go deeper.
I love it. I'll do a giveaway too for anybody that's on this call right now. If you go to loudrumor.com/no-objections, that's a really good sales training you can get for free that you should go check out. And then another one that I want you to go to is scorecard.loudrumor.com. You could take a free test to understand, like, is like sales even my problem right now? Sometimes you think it's your problem. It's not really your problem. You're actually doing okay. And so I think that's important as well. And then I honestly, for everybody listening, Benji knows his stuff and they've got everything lined up really well. So just go to supafitgrow.com as well. Supa, SUPA, fitgrow.com. And check out their stuff. I mean, these guys are doing killer work for the industry. I essentially closed out my ad agency and gave SupaFit Grow all of my clients because they're just that good. And I'm not in it necessarily to make a buck. I got passion for the work I do as well. And I love watching people like Benji and Michael work. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Benji, thanks for being on the show, brother.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Look forward to the next couple.
Same here, man. We'll have you back. And for everybody else, we'll see you next time.